Welcome to today's Impact webinar. Impact provides consulting services to nonprofits, offering training and support to users of Blackbaud Razor's Edge and Financial Edge. This is the second in 4 webinars in the Financial Edge Pre-Audit Tips series. I'm your presenter, Miles Matsumura with Impact Consulting, and I'm located in the state of Hawaii. I do have 19 years of experience on Blackbaud software, 12 of those providing support to financial edge users in New York City. With Impact Consulting, we expanded that to other areas of the country and have consultants covering all of your time zones. During our June 15th session, we talked about the types of organizations you represent based on webinar registrations. I updated these numbers to include registrations which came in later. As before, don't worry about note-taking. We'll send you a PDF of this presentation and a video link in a couple of days when they are ready. Here are the dates and times of our sessions. You're already registered for this series and we'll be using the same Zoom link for all sessions. So keep the Zoom confirmation email you received. And be sure to add these dates, times, and the Zoom link to your calendar. If you missed the first session, email me and I'll send you a link to the video recording of that session. My email address will be in the PDF you receive. Now, unlike the other sessions in this series, today we will look at why, not how. Okay, let's dive in with question number 1. The auditors asked for a trial balance report. Why would we send them 4? Let's think about that for a moment. Answer: to minimize auditor errors. Auditors do make errors. Your task is to reduce the risk of errors by making it easier for them to get things right. Let's look at an example. Here, we have a statement of financial position. If your organization followed Blackbaud's best practices, then you likely have the 3 conventional prefixes as illustrated. Question: what is the unrestricted balance in the operating cash account? According to Financial Edge, the answer is $12,252,700. Or is it? If you give the auditor a single trial balance report, the auditor might mistakenly conclude that the answer is the balance that you see on the far right, and that would be incorrect. Do you see the problem? Trial balance reports do not display restricted versus unrestricted by columns. It displays them by rows. The solution is to create 4 trial balance report templates, 1 for each column. Whether you do it in NXT or in database view, I recommend that you create and save 4 trial balance report templates and use these filters. Then at audit time, run the 4 trial balance reports, export them to Excel, and place all 4 reports into a single workbook with 1 tab for each of the 4 reports. Now, when you submit the trial balance workbook, you probably should explain why you are submitting 4 trial balance reports. The reason? Financial Edge maintains 4 balances for every account and uses those to segregate restricted monies from unrestricted monies within each account. The balances in the 4 trial balance reports will line up with the numbers in each column of your financial statements. So it's also a good idea to submit your statement of financial position, statement of activities, and statement of functional expenses with your trial balance reports. That way, the auditors can compare and understand how to interpret your exports. Going back to an earlier slide, this really should not be a best practice. A better practice is to set up Financial Edge with a single prefix, not 3. Now note that Blackbaud has a semantic problem here. We'll talk about that in a moment. Having a single fund prefix will avoid those automatically generated interfund transfer rows which get added to your journal entries, especially if you don't know how to compose journal entries that do not trigger interfund balancing entries. But that's another subject. Overall, using just one fund prefix will make it easier to track restrictions using only the class field. So at setup, stick to one prefix. There is an exception. If you have multiple entities or locations and each entity needs separate financial statements, then use the 1, 2, 3, or however more you need for each reporting entity or location. That will be common in larger healthcare organizations or in schools with multiple campuses. The key is set up separate account number prefixes for entities or branches which operate separately and need separate financial statements. And that would mean that they have their own bank accounts, assets, liabilities, and fund balances. But other than that, avoid setting up more than one. Now, about that Blackbaud semantic problem. Fund has a specific meaning in accounting, and Blackbaud's use of the term is somewhat confusing. It would have been better for Blackbaud to call the class field fund and call the prefix section of account numbers branch or location, anything other than fund. But it is what it is. In conclusion, during setup, avoid using more than one prefix in your account numbers. Now for a reality check. Your books are already set up with 3 fund prefixes. Financial Edge will not let you undo it. You can add, but not remove, fund prefixes. You also need to maintain your accounting history, so you'll have to live with it. You can, however, avoid using accounts in funds 2 and 3 and stick to using fund number 1 accounts as much as possible, and use the class field to distinguish between unrestricted and donor-restricted transactions. That's all for tip number 2. Let's move on to tip number 3. As I mentioned 2 weeks ago, this tip can save you time. During a typical audit, the auditor first asks for your trial balance report. Then, a day later, the auditor begins asking for GL reports, not just one report, but more GL reports every day. Each request requires you to drop everything to export reports for the auditor. This leads us to 2 questions. What do you mean by GL report for financial statements? And how will it save me time? Normally, GL reports are run for specific accounts or a short range of accounts. But here, for financial statements means GL report templates for mass export using the audit VCO/CO you created in tip number 1 with class filters set for unrestricted, temporarily restricted, or permanently restricted. Let's break these apart one at a time. GL report templates for mass export means for as many accounts as appear in your financial statements. That could be 100 or more accounts in each export. Using the audit VCO/CO you created following our last session on tip number 1. Use of that VCO will ensure that your GL account totals match the totals in your financial statements. With class filters set for unrestricted, temporarily restricted, or permanently restricted. This will ensure that your export subtotals match the column subtotals of your financial statements. Let's go back to that middle item, using the audit VCO/CO you created. In database view, when you create your GL report templates, on the General tab, select the audit VCO, also known as chart template, for the audit year. In NXT view, you do the same thing, also in the General tab. Class filters. Time doesn't permit me to show you how to set the class filter in your GL report template, but I do want to show you what we want to accomplish. Here's the list of GL report audit templates in database view. First, GL report templates to back up your balance sheet or statement of financial position. Next, GL report templates to back up your income statement or statement of activities. You may or may not have a non-operating section in your financial statements. And note that we don't create templates for the expense section of your statement of activities. Why? Because your auditor will almost always ask for GL reports to back up your statement of functional expenses. Also note, functional expenses are by definition unrestricted. So this last set of templates are not filtered for class restrictions. Here are the same GL report templates in NXT view. For mass export. During audit, after you've done your year-end entries, have finished your preliminary review, and you believe your books are ready for running your trial balance reports, then you are also ready to export your internal financial statements and mass exports of GL reports. As with your trial balance exports, I suggest that you set up your Excel workbooks like this. In the first tab, place your financial statement run at level 3 or summary level without account details displayed. This report should look identical to your audited financial statement. In the second tab, run the same statement at level 4 or 5, displaying all of the accounts in their respective account groups. Then run your mass exports and place them in tabs alongside the financial statements they support. That way, when the auditor reviews your internal financial statements, the GL reports for accounts in the financial statements are right there. This makes it easy for the auditor, and the easier it is, the better your audit will go. It's like having guests for dinner. If your home is neat and presentable, it gives a good first impression and encourages a positive working relationship with your auditors. By this point, you are probably saying to yourself, boy, that sure looks like a lot of hard work. How will doing this save me time? Well, setup does take time, but just once. After the first audit, you will use and reuse the same templates every year. You just update the fiscal year, select the latest audit VCO, and you're ready to go. And GL reports given to auditors before they ask reduce drop everything interruptions. One more thing. GL exports to Excel in database view has always been problematic. Columns are out of order and misaligned. Data which belongs in the reference column end up 3 columns to the right. The balance column appears before the debit and credit columns, and account subtotals for debits and credits aren't even in those columns and must be moved. If you have hundreds of accounts, that's a lot of editing to do. The good news is Blackbaud finally fixed the export issue in NXT. In NXT, column headers and data all end up where they belong. So create your GL report templates in either database view or in NXT, but always do your exports in NXT. That wraps up our presentation time. We have 10 minutes to take your questions. Turn on your mic and camera and ask away. Anyone? Just a reminder, here are the dates of our next 2 sessions. You're already registered, so use the same Zoom link you received for all sessions and add them to your calendar. 2 weeks ago, I incorrectly announced future dates for Mornings with Sal. Those Q&A sessions are on pause for the summer and will resume in the fall. However, we have a new webinar series for Razor's Edge users. If your fundraising colleagues wish to join that group, send me an email and I'll forward the registration link to you to share with them. The more training Razor's Edge users get, the better their exports and import into Financial Edge. Here are some of the topics. Here's my email address and my calendar link. These will be included in the webinar PDF. If you wish to set an appointment with me, the second link will take you into my calendar where you may set a date and time. There's no need to email back and forth to coordinate schedules. Thanks again for being here. We'll see you again in 2 weeks.